This afternoon, we will conduct a class debate. A pleasant afternoon to our school principal, Romeo P. Rivera, our head teacher, Ma'am Marietta C. Cheng, and Ma'am Hiolin Saku. Our proposition for today's debate is resolved that using cellular phone should be allowed inside the classroom. Mobile phone is a good technology which is not lacking in our lives, and it has become popular to everybody. We will witness our debaters this afternoon as they are going to deliberate the advantages and disadvantages of using cellular phone inside the classroom. We have two groups, the proposition team and the opposition team. To formally start our debate, may I call on Kenneth Kanha, our floor moderator.
To our principal, Mr. Romeo P. Rivera, to our head teacher, Mrs. Maria Kitchen, to our science teacher, Mrs. Hiolin, to our science teacher, Joylyn, and to all of our leaders this morning. Good afternoon. These are the members of the proposition team headed by Arin Castillo. We have Ronaldin Pinita, Jerry Cambari Malanga, Rosemary Alom, Adrian Marina, and Maria Cristina Hayes. And for the opposition team, we have Joylyn Bulaklak, Stephanie Kabangbang, Lucila Ucat, Justin Vasquez, Joshua Dimaculat, and Abigail Darno. I will read to you the criteria for judging. Organization and clarity. Viewpoints and responses are outlined both clearly and orderly, 20%. Use of argument reasons are given to support viewpoint, 20%. Use of examples and facts. Examples and facts are given to support the lesson, 20%. Use of rebuttal arguments made by the other teams are responded to the deal and effectively, 20%. Presentation style, tone of voice, use of gestures, and level of enthusiasm are convincing to audience, 20%, with a total of 100%. Now, let us hear Irene Castillo, the first speaker coming from the proposition team, to give her statement.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially the members of the Board of Judges, Mr. Romeo P. Rivera, sir, to our head teacher, Mrs. Marietta C. Cheng, and also to our teacher too, Mrs. Hiolin Sapil, to my classmates, schoolmates, and to my co-debaters, a wonderful afternoon to all. Cellular phone, sometimes called mobile telephone, is a type of shortwave analog or digital telecommunication in which a subscriber has a wireless connection from a mobile telephone to a relatively nearby transmitter. The transmitter's span of coverage is called a cell. As the cellular phone user moves from one cell or area of coverage to another, the telephone is effectively passed onto the local cell transmitter. Resolve that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. Yes, students should use their phones inside the classroom. You are preparing us for adult life. You should therefore allow us to use the tools that we will be using in our adult life. If you are preparing us for life after school, you should allow us to use the tools we will be using when we get there. How many jobs can you think of right now where a smartphone is not beneficial? Mechanics order parts in their phones, engineers view blueprints, doctors calculate dosage, and grocers check inventory. The list is endless. By the time we students enter our professions, the need to utilize mobile technology will be even stronger, not preparing us for the world is exigent. Number 1. A phone can be used for educational purposes. Students should definitely be able to use their phones during class. A phone is a great device. It can be used for many educational things like research, projects, calculators, and even putting an important date when a homework, assignment, or a project is due. You can also use the phone to call or text your parents if maybe you forgot your lunch at home, need lunch money so you can eat at school, or to let them know that you have tutorials after school that day. There are many things that phones are useful for. Number 2. Cell phones are good. I believe that cell phones should be allowed in public school for many reasons. They are good for education, safety, and much more. 1. Cell phones are good for education. Cell phones are good for education for many reasons. First, you can use cell phones for research purposes. Although most schools have at least one computer in the classroom and a computer lab, sometimes this still isn't enough. It can also be expensive to provide a computer to each student at school. So a good option is to use cell phones for research instead. Here are some good features of phones that are good for school. 1. Calculator. It doesn't matter if your phone is expensive or not. Almost every single phone has a calculator. Lots of students are required to have a calculator as one of their school supplies. 2. Stopwatch. Lots of phones have a stopwatch, which can be used in science class. 3. Dictionary. Cell phones can be used as a dictionary, which can be very useful in a classroom setting. You can always search on the internet for the definition. 2. Cell phones keep us safe. Believe it or not, a cell phone can save our lives. There are many other true stories like this. One where people's lives were saved because of cell phones. Number 3. Cell phones in class, the learning and safety tool. Pretty much everywhere, cell phones are banned because most people say it's distracting. Teachers don't want kids texting in class when they're trying to teach them important things. But the truth about more modern phones is they can be a great learning tool. Cell phones should also be used for safety. The employees at the school say you don't need to use your phone to contact people. But what if something happens, like the school phone line goes dead? Also, if you need a phone number the school doesn't have, it will most likely be under your contact list. And a student might need to contact a student in another class for something important, they can always contact them. And if student is sick, they can FaceTime or Skype another student during class to watch the lesson and not miss anything important.
Now, let us hear Joylyn with the class, the first speaker coming from the opposition team.
To our beloved principal, Mr. Romeo P. Rivera, to our board of judges, to all of the teachers, to my co-students and debaters, and also to my teammates, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. Resolved that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. I vote no in students bringing cell phones inside the classroom because we could cheat, we get distracted, we distract others from their work, we could text in class and the teachers might see so they might get our phone taken away. It is not worth taking our phone to school if we are just going to text in class and get our phone taken away. I'm so glad cell phones are banned at my school and our parents during the PTA meeting agree of not bringing cell phones in school. Because students might play video games in class. If the cell phone rings, it is distracting to everyone in class. And also texting is super distracting because cell phones enable students to cheat during tests through texting each other the answers. Why we should not have cell phones in class? We should not have cell phones in class because if we are going off like someone is calling us, we will be distracting, we could cheat on tests, plus students wouldn't pay attention in class because they will be too distracted texting others and playing games on their cell phones. Phones are a distraction. Students need to get their act together in class and pay full attention to the teacher that is there, wasting their time by using their phones to distract both the teachers and other students. These students are there for a reason, and allowing phones in school would take away from our education. Students did not pay attention. I would say yes, but the only time we will be able to use our phones will be during lunch, after school, and free play. For an emergency, we can call our parents or guardians, but the cell phones will have to be in our lockers, and cell phones need to be shut down. The teachers will have permission to go through our lockers and see if our cell phones are off. If they're not off, they will be taken away and our parents or guardians will have to come and pick them up. If we take it away the second time, we must spend 1 day in school for suspension. Apart from the above given problems, there are many more risks associated with giving cell phones to children. It has been observed that children tend to waste a lot of time calling or texting their friends, sometimes ignoring their studies. Moreover, giving cell phones to children also makes them vulnerable to check internet sites which you have banned at home. Other than these problems, giving cell phones to children can also expose them to health problems too. Studies conducted by scientists have shown that too much exposure of the cell phones can give rise to physical problems. Cell phones are a source of electromagnetic field radiation, which creates change in anything it comes into contact with. EMFs emanate from mobile phones, and because of how our phones are used, these EMFs come into direct contact with the brain. More than a dozen studies have linked using a cell phone for a long period of time, 10 years or more, with a higher incidence of brain tumors and acoustic neuromas. These critical diagnoses are even more common when phones are switched from one side of the head to the other when engaged in conversation. These are other adverse health effects include evidence of leukemia, breast cancer and other cancers, neurological concerns and changes in the nervous system, and a much higher risk of salivary gland tumors. In summing up, I did not agree that the students should be allowed using cellular phones inside the classroom.
Next to give her statement is Ronald Nikita, the second speaker coming from the proposition team.
Resolved that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. The use of mobile phones in the classroom may be a prima facie bad idea, but mobile devices can also be beneficial inside the classroom. Cell phones make students connected. With mobile phones, parents will be least worried since we can easily check on their children and we can easily call for our parents in times of emergency. Cell phones encourage collaborative learning. Students can share notes and reminders faster and easier with mobile devices. Cell phones can be used as memory aids. We can document our lessons by taking pictures or videos to enhance retention. With smartphones, learning can also be more interactive and fun. Cell phones can be used as paper and pencils. We can use our phones for taking down notes and even for saving reminders. Cell phones give access to a pool of information. We can also use our phones to browse the internet to find the information we need. They can also utilize our dictionary or translator to facilitate their learning. Mobile phone is a good technology. You can contact easily to your friends by calling or sending messages everywhere without electricity. The more you talk, the more you know. The more you know how to talk, and the better the communication skills become. This is applicable if you're a sensible person. Include note of your interactive habits over the phone. It can be a communication tutorial, especially inside the classroom. You can record information given with a picture when you recorded and took pictures on our after-class discussion. Nothing more than cell phones comes to great help in learning. Parents can be really worried about their kids by being in constant touch with them. If you're not savvy, you can have an internet handy outside anywhere the signal of your provider can reach. Trendy and stylish, cell phones can be used as a way to receive attention. It can be part of fashion and styling. We have 8 advantages to allow kids to have cell phones in schools. First, parental contact. Second, school closure. Third, scheduling. Fourth, research. Fifth, reduce workload for secretarial staff. 6, emergencies. 7, note taking. 8, peace of mind. For those of us beyond age 30, we all remember life without a cell phone. No land as a payphone. Stress during emergencies and whether you can get to a phone in time in the part of taking notes, getting notes, writing those down are much needed information. Cell phones can be a distraction in class and during class, but after hearing the information, I hope to give you some insight into why a cell phone in school is not such a bad idea after all. I told you, I hope you, and I will agree of allowing students to use cellular phones inside the classroom.
And now, Stephanie Kabambang, the second speaker coming from the opposition team, will read her statement.
So that cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. Allowing students to use their cell phones in the classroom is a bad idea because cell phones can be used in bullying. Students can take a video or a pictures of their teachers and or classmates that can be dehumanizing.
Cell phones can cause detrimental to school safety. School can cause chaos during bumps and other trips because of the parents rushing to the school. And cell phones can be health hazards. Constant exposure to the radiation emitted by mobile phones may be bad for the student. And having cell phones in school can cause a variety of problems. The most obvious is the distraction in class. Many times, people will turn their phones onto silent or vibrate mode. Ringing phones can distract the entire class. If the student isn't completely focused on the lesson, they will not learn. And cell phones are a distraction that can be limited fairly easily. And cell phones can cause hostility among classmates. They can cause a lot of problems like hierarchy, jealousy, theft, ragging, and ridicule. Students with lower color cell phones can gain a higher social status, which could make somebody else upset. All of these common teenager problems can be avoided if nobody carries their cell phones with them. Being able to get immediate contact with other allows for good and bad information to spread quickly. Rumors always spread quickly in schools, but cell phones spread them even quicker. School employees may have tough time shooting down these rumors if they spread so fast. This can cause many problems that differ from the educational process. We have mentioned a while ago that people ages 30 and above, that life seems difficult for them and using emergencies. But people survive without cellular phones. Many became professionals. Students are more respectful and attached to their parents. Look at students nowadays. They are holding so many gadgets. They tend to forget greeting and talking to their parents. But they are the same house, but they are ignoring each other because of the latest technology and the negative effect of the cell phone brings to their lives.
Next to give a statement is Joylyn Oranga, the third speaker coming from the proposition.
Resolved that the cellular phone should be allowed inside the classroom. Consider the following advantages when forming your opinion regarding whether cell phones should be allowed inside the classroom. First, instant communication. Although you hope that you will never have to do this, you sometimes need to get in contact with your school-aged child while they are in class. This could be because of a death in the family, an accident, or other family emergency that may require his or her attention and/or attendance. By being able to call your child directly, you also help alleviate the workload of the school's administrative team. This is particularly useful during recess and lunch hours when students aren't in class and may be difficult to find. The problems with knowing where your children are after school could also be reduced if parents had the ability to call them and vice versa. Text messages can make communicating easy and discreet. Second, learning aid. Students who have a smartphone can use various applications that are designed to assist in learning and design tests for students. Many of these smartphones have programs that are similar to what is found in a laptop or desktop computer. Being able to quickly look up facts on the internet is possible on many phones. If a student needs assistance with classwork and does not have access to a computer, a smartphone can be used in a snap. Third, memory aid. Most cell phones have camera these days, so children can use this to take pictures of things in class. This is great for science class. For example, where they may be exposed to certain creatures, plants, and other things that they probably won't encounter anywhere else. This is much more effective than simply producing a quick sketch. Pictures can also be useful for any sort of step-by-step process, so that they can later review the photos to better understand the procedure in metalwork, woodwork, or other hands-on courses. Fourth, store energy contact information. Important phone numbers can be easily stored in cell phones. For students,
This can be important in case they become sick while at school or were in an emergency situation. Their cell phones can contain important numbers such as their parents' work, doctor's office, dentist, who to call in case of an emergency, as well as numbers of close family members and friends. Remember everyone, we are in the 21st century, so we should upgrade ourselves with the latest technology. Cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom if you wanted a student to be a part of a 21st century learner. Thank you and good afternoon.
This time, Priscilla Ucat, the third speaker coming from the opposition team, will give us the floor.
Resolved that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. Cellular phones should not be allowed inside the classroom because there are 7 disadvantages of mobile phones, and these are the unsafe safety standards, the negative health effects, the male infertility, the effect on children, the mobile phone in traveling, the increased stress levels, and the effect on the environment. And if I relate this in our topic, that cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom, I not agree because cellular phones can disturb schoolwork and other students who are trying to study. The guys will either be listening to the music or playing games. Many tests are done in the first 2 terms, and finally there is annual examination. Many students use cell phones to cheat in tests, either to text the answer or ask for questions to other students. Some children take pictures in the bathroom and text during school periods, while some others text rumors about other students. Some people said in the discussion that cell phones should be allowed in school in case of an emergency. But you don't need your cell phone because your parents and teachers know where you are. And according to the school security, originally cell phones were banned from school because of their connection to gang activities, as well as being a disruption to classes. This ban started a decade ago and they have been altered a few times. Since then, cell phones, they have never allowed students to have their cell phones in school because cell phones can cause social problems which will only increase if cell phones were allowed in school. First of all, cell phones are impersonal and rather antisocial. If a student or kids are using their phones to text during class all the time, they wouldn't need to be as good and actually talking to others, which would degenerate such as skills which are very important in life, or jobs, creating good family relationships, making and keeping friends. Another social problem that could occur is cyberbullying. If cell phones were allowed to be used throughout the school day, it would be easier and there would be more time for students to use technology to bully other students, and without getting caught unless the victim reports the bullying, which is quite rare. Another problem with cell phones is known as sexting, which is when students send a nude picture of themselves to other students. This is very appropriate and is illegal in some places. If students had access to their phones all day, chances are the amount of texting would increase because of more time available to do so. That's why I strongly disagree that the cell phone should be allowed inside the classroom.
Let us hear Rosemary Allo, the fourth speaker coming from the proposition team, to give a statement.
I believe that cell phones should be allowed inside the classroom. Here are the following reasons to prove that. First, increased excitement and education for teens. It's boring for teens to look through a book to find answers. If the teachers allow students to whip out their phones in class and search for the answers that way, students will be more motivated and more excited to search for the answers. Also, it could be a convenience for note-taking. You could easily snap a quick picture of the notes on the board or voice record all of the notes the teacher is saying. Second,
I believe that trusting students to have a cell phone in class instills a level of respect that they pass on to teachers. Students like us should be allowed to bring our own devices and enjoy that freedom, while also being able to focus on our learning. Bringing our own device will encourage us and show a level of respect that we appreciate. And in return, will pay more attention to the teachers and become better students because they gave back the respect we earned. Only those who fail to show respect should have their devices taken away by the teacher. Third, students of K-12 should be able to use their cell phone while at school. In preparation for a real-world job, most working people benefit from having the cell phones at hand. They can access their email, call clients, check inventory, read the news, use software application, and more. Students need to learn how to use their cell phone responsibly. To teach responsibility, students know they shouldn't use their cell phone in school to play Angry Birds or listen to music or to text their friends about the quiz they just took. Phones and tablets should be used responsibly and for educational purposes. Students could do research for English paper or download an app that provides extra information on one of the chemical elements in the periodic table. To avoid double standards, administration often takes notes on their phones as part of teacher observation. Some teachers, coaches, and counselors use their cell phones in co-swimming too. It may not be permitted, but we are allowed to do so without the same consequences as students. Why should the students be able to do the same? That is why I vote yes that we students should be allowed to use cell phones inside the classroom.
Next is Justin Vasquez, the fourth speaker coming from the opposition team to give us input.
Resolved that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. I did not agree that cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom because of the following. First, playing games every time. The student's age is a kind of playing age. Even though they concentrate on their subjects, their mind goes to PlayStation, Xbox, Wi-Fi, computers, and mobile phones. Nowadays, I saw lots of students who hate everything other than mobile phones. I think they love it because they can download so many games there. So, what will happen if students having an own mobile phone? Simply, they try to play games. They are small, so they have to play games as we did in our childhood. But everything has some limits. If a student playing games every time, then it's better to bring his or her mobile phone back because their studies and other useful activities is destroyed by his mobile phone. But if they play games once in a while, then it's totally fun. Second, change their way to some unwanted things. In this current world, mobile phones change students having a lot. Through mobile phones, you can search lots of good stuff, meanwhile you can search lots of bad stuff as well. Nowadays, almost all the students are addicted to porn videos and some other porn activity websites. That's really bad. This is why we can see lots of students with cigarettes and drugs. This is one of the major flaws for the rise of technology. Even I met lots of parents who got disappointment with their kids' behavior. So I advise to parents, please don't allow your kids to use mobile phones if you find something bad on them. Third, disturb other students. Mobile phones disturbing other students in two ways. One, is when there is an important lecture going on, and if your mobile phone ring all the time, it will disturb the whole class. Most of the students put their mobile phones in silent mode, but some students don't care about that. So the ringing tone completely disturbs others and the lecturer. Another one is some students want to have a mobile phone, but their parents don't allow kids to one. Such students mentally disturbed when they see the next bench student have a mobile phone. Lastly, refuse to spend time with family. This is another major disadvantage of having a mobile phone by a student. Before these phones and technology, students spend plenty of time with their family. Now students spend their free time with mobile phones. Either they play games or chatting with friends via mobile phones. They don't have any idea about how much family is important in our life. Chatting with family is one of the most important things for everyone. And we can learn more good stuff when we freely talk with our family. So, parents, at least bring your kids together in dinner time and have your meals together in one table. A family chain is very important, and try to make them understand that.
Next to give his statement is Adrian Marina, the fifth speaker coming from the proposition group.
My opponents, good afternoon. Resolve that using cell phone should be allowed inside the classroom. This one is pretty obvious, but bear with us. Since the first cell phone, we've been able to make calls while on the go. But given the fact that almost everyone today owns at least a basic mobile phone, and the majority have their phone on hand all times, you're able to get in touch with people nearly 24/7. Add to this the cell phone tours constantly popping up to give us ever-improving reception, and even being in a building or outside of the city isn't it the problem it used to be. This comes handy in so many ways. Being a student of 21st century, we need to be on time about technology. We should know and learn on latest technology to update ourselves and able to compete with others. Cell phones are necessary and learning to give us easy work for our research studies. We are facing on globally competitive world. That is why, as a student, we should have our own cell phone and should be allowed inside the classroom. Many cell phones today have the capability to performing many tasks for your computer touch. You can access the internet, write emails, and send documents from wherever you might find yourself. This in turn allows you to be on top of time-sensitive issues. For us students, teacher will give us difficult questions, word vocabularies. We can use our cell phone to access the internet. That's why students could answer teacher questions easily. That's all. Thank you.
Now to give a statement is Joshua Dimaceles, the fifth speaker coming from the opposition team.
So that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. I disagree for allowing students using cellular phones inside the classroom for this reason. This debate whether students should be allowed to use cell phones is an easy one. I understand cell phones do have some great apps
that I will help educating us and further advancement to become a 21st century learners. But this is also major distraction. Some say books are boring. But books help us to learn, but for us that find some reading it all day. No, it is not. Books are the oldest source of history in the world, and it is very useful to us. The problem is not the use of the book. It is the student using cell phones on class for texting, Facebook, and Twitter, etc. Books are reliable source of information and learning. A book is a good way to grab someone's attention because you can only read the words in that book. You can go read different things in that book like you can read a cell phone or iPad. The fact is that a lot of people saying our books are good to our kids who already use them in school or want an option to show they can use a calculator or for looking up definitions for words, but out of all people who use cell phones in school already, how many really use it for that purpose? Little to none. If you could remember, our grandparents and parents are not using cell phones before in their studies, but they are successful. Nowadays, many students using cell phones everywhere, especially in school and inside the classroom. And they are not listening to their teachers because of using cell phones while the teacher is teaching. That's why I disagree of bringing cell phones inside the classroom.
Let us hear the statement of Maria Cristina P., the last speaker coming from the opposition team.
Topic: resolve that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. For me, cell phones should be allowed inside the classroom because of the different reasons. First, calendar. Nearly every mobile phone has built a calendar function, and this can be very useful to kids who have a hard time remembering test dates, assignments, due dates, and other such details where time is of the essence. By putting this in cell phone organizer and assigning an alarm, they'll never forget again. After all, paper-based agendas and notebooks can be easily lost, forgotten, overlooked, or scribbled over. Second, the voice note. The voice recording feature of cell phones can be beneficial to students who would like a quick way to keep track of what they need to do. After all, students may not always have immediate access to a notepad. As using a cell phone to jot down important information can be helpful. GPS tracking can be a benefit of cell phones to parents who want to be able to keep tabs of their children about GPS tracking. A cell phone can provide peace of mind to concerned parents and teachers if a student is reported missing or has gone somewhere for school.
Now is Abigail Daniel, the last speaker coming from the opposition team who will proceed.
Resolve that using cellular phones should be allowed inside the classroom. I did not agree that using cell phone by students should be allowed inside the classroom. It is a big interruption. Not only can cell phone cause interruption for individuals in class, but they can also interrupt the entire class. Or ringing, beeping, or buzzing cell phones can be disrupt a class, lecture, or study program. Friends in matter, school, or class, surfing the web, or playing games. The cell phone in classroom would only cause a disruption and student grades will greatly suffer. Look at the students who are using cell phones nowadays. They are stubborn. They are not listening to the teacher. They are saying yes, but they are not moving and obeying to what their teacher told them to do. Is that what you want us to become someday? I'm responsible and disobedient student. No, I'm not agree to bringing cell phones inside the classroom.
will now hear the final speech rebuttal of the leaders of each team, calling Irene Castile for the proposition team and Joylyn Bulaklak for the opposition team.
We agree that cellular phones have a positive place to our own needs. As we stated a while ago, the benefits and advantages of using cell phone inside the classroom are the following. 1. Parents will be less worried since they can easily check on their children and we can easily call our parents in times of emergency. 2. To take down notes for assignments, projects, and other school activities that we get in the cellular phone. 3. Students can use calculators or most likely not during math, captchas, timers, educational apps, their internet, and more with their mobile phones nowadays. High school students are supposed to be trusted. We are growing up and we are supposed to be held accountable for the things we do and don't do. To the students who can actually focus on their work, while given the privilege to use their phones, good for them. Although phones can be a distraction, but they can also be a big help to us. For trusting students who have a cellular phone in class instills a level of respect that they pass on to teachers. And I wish that all students like us should be allowed to bring our own devices in school and enjoy the freedom.
I strongly disagree of bringing cell phones inside the classroom, and I know that all of my teammates are also disagree about it. And I think we all know that we can study even without cellular phones, right? Because for us, cellular phones can only give us problems and distractions. Because although there are some advantages of giving the children the cellular phones, the disadvantages are actually greater, like cheating, wasting a lot of time, causing interruptions or distractions, health problems, and even ignoring their studies. Because some of the students spending the most of their time in playing video games, texting, calling, and opening other cell phone applications instead of studying their lessons. And that's the reasons why we are very disagree for allowing students to bring cellular phones inside the classroom.
We had heard the points of view of the different teams, and now we will move on to the next part. The first group to ask questions is the proposition team.
Why did you say that cell phone is just a distraction inside the classroom? Thank you for your question. I just say that cell phone is a distraction inside the classroom because if it rings and when someone calling us, it can disturb our discussion. And it can also distract and ignore our studies because most of the students spend their time in playing games, texting, calling, and opening other applications while inside the classroom. As what you have said a while ago, Sila, cellular phones should not be allowed inside the classroom because it can distract and disturb schoolwork. But in what way does cellular phone can distract and disturb students in their learning? Your question is so simple, but my answer is too terrible. Accordingly, in what I have said a while ago, cellular phone should not be allowed inside the classroom because it can disrupt and disturb schoolwork in the way that some students are trying to texting, calling, listening to the music, and playing games, and etc. while the classes was going on.
At this time, we will give chance to the opposition team to ask questions.
Why did you say that cellular phones are advantageous in learning?
Thank you for that smart question. Cellular phones are advantageous in learning in so many ways. It can use in calculation, most in math and math. It can use stopwatches, timers, and educational apps. And more a day, the cellular phone are used in 21st century. That's all.
You stated that students should be trusted. How you can assure that students will use only their cellular phone inside the classroom for study or learning purposes only?
We are growing up and we are supposed to be held accountable for the things we do and when we do. To the students who can actually focus and learn work while given the privilege to use their phones are good for them. Although phones can be distractions, but they can use their phones are good for them. For trusting students to have a cellular phone in class without a level of respect that they pass on the teachers.
On the other hand, we will give an opportunity to our viewers and listeners to ask questions. Is there anybody who wants to ask questions?
My question for this position team is, how can you prove that cellular phones have negative effect to one's health?
We can prove that cellular phones have negative effects to one's health through the statements that we have, which states that cell phone is a source of electromagnetic fields radiation, which creates change in anything it comes into contact with. And according to more than a dozen studies, have linked using cell phone for a long period of time, 10 years or more, have a higher incidence of critical diagnoses such as brain tumors and acoustic neuromas. And aside from that, when earphones are switched from one side of the head to the other when engaged in conversation, it also causes some health problems like evidence of leukemia, breast cancer and other cancers, neurological concerns and changes in the nervous system, and a much higher risk of salivary gland tumors. All of these are the negative effects of using cellular phones as what as you asked.
My question is, how can you say that cellular phones report trust as a student?
As a student, many privileges are given to us by our teachers, like assignments, projects, and timing experiments for a science class that we need to utilize to have a good grade. So we can use the cellular phone for researching into the internet, calculators, timer, and stopwatches. Although cellular phones have a big distraction to us, but they can also be a big help to us as students.
We had heard the point of view of the two teams, why they are agreed and do not agree of using cell phones should be allowed inside the classroom. May I call on our teacher, Ma'am Joylyn Hiolin, for her comment, and let us give her a warm applause.
I would like to thank these students for your active participation to make this debate possible. Indeed, cellular phones have disadvantages and advantages to students in learning, not only to the students but also to everybody. Upgrading ourselves with technology is not a bad idea. We should learn to use it in a proper way. The important thing is we know how to manage ourselves and we are held accountable to our actions. Hope we are going to be reminded of that. And at this time, we will hear also a comment from our master teacher too, a head teacher too rather, Ma'am Marietta C. Head teacher 3, Ma'am Marietta C. Cheng.
Good afternoon, everyone. My appreciation to our facilitator of this debate, Ma'am Hiolin, and also to the debaters for having this activity. So I am glad I am invited to witness this activity. I am happy that I am here with you, seeing you in this debate. We are now facing the 21st century, wherein technology is widely used. So by every individual, and one of these is cell phone, or cellular phone. I know each one of you has cell phones, right? Yes. You are lucky because at your age, you had already your cell phone with you, You are already experts in manipulating this gadget. Though it is advantageous, in your learning as to what the proposition group have mentioned a while ago, you should also consider the disadvantages, as to what the proposition also have mentioned. Using cell phone is not bad. It depends on how you use it. So, you are not prevented from using cell phone. But using it inside the classroom, during class hours, especially when you are the what you are doing is not relevant to your lesson is not allowed. So it is already stipulated in our school rules and regulations and was approved by your parents. So I hope we understand each other. So remember that you are still students. Useful, this is useful to you, but consider also the disadvantages. So debaters, congratulations for the job well done.
Speech program in English subject. This is one way to develop your skills in communication. Because every time I view a movie, view a TV, when I go to sleep at exactly 2 o'clock in the morning, I used to see different movies in the TV and debate in the TV. If you can see in Channel 5, you can see the different schools, universities in Manila having debate, especially children in law or LLB. So there is a program in that particular station that debate. That there is a debate. There is a subject matter to resolve. So in this sense, I would like to congratulate the facilitator of this activity today and the debaters. The position and the proposition. Kanina, it is the affirmative and the negative. No? And I believe there are different kinds of debate or form of debate. And this debate of yours is the Oxford form of debate. And the other one, yung nagpakita kanina, yung kay Sir Chris, is Oregon. No? Oregon form of debate. Wherein, while talking or speaking, somebody could ask a question. So you can disrupt your speaking by asking a question by the opposition or the proposition. So congratulations again to the debaters for the job well done. And also to the advisors.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Cheng and Sir Romeo, for your comments. Okay, class. Please write your critical reflection about what you had learned from the debate. Indeed, technology has advantages and disadvantages not only in students' learning, but to all of us. The best thing that we should do is to use it wisely and properly. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who made this activity possible. Thank you and good afternoon.